transitional glitch and some vacations. The notification to the membership that the meeting tonight was live on WebEx was not sent out. However, the meeting will be posted as per usual sometime tomorrow. That being said, do I have a motion to adopt this agenda?
So moved. Second.
Who moved?
Annie and then Doug second.
Andy moved, Eric seconded?
Nope.
Doug? Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? So moved. That takes us straight into the president's report. Long weekend. I'd like to thank the past board members, Jim Lloyd and Tom Matthews, for their service. I'd like to re-welcome a couple of return members, Doug Parker and Eric Lapp. And also thank everybody that provided us with a seamless annual meeting. As I said, once we counted the votes and made the announcements on the officers on Sunday, we're going to take a minute to pause. And it's time to start finding some compromise within not only the board and the membership committees, but also our membership as well. I'd like to officially draw a line in the sand as soon as we possibly can. I know we've got some things that still loom out there. And, but we need to put some things to bed as quickly as we possibly can. I find it hard to move forward in a positive direction until we do so. I will appeal to both the Board of Trustees and the Management Committee probably with the next board meeting to air your grievances so we can get them out on the table and we can find some compromise and we can reconcile and start moving together as one. I make no secret that I'm a lifer here. I've seen a lot of what's going on right now come and go. There's some new things with the advent of social media. But this isn't anything new, folks, and we've overcome it before, and we're going to overcome it again. So that's my message going forward. What you see in the echo will probably be a little different than what I'm saying here tonight, but it's time to move onward and upward. So that being said, I would ask Linda Hodge if we have any correspondence.
We do not have any correspondence this time.
Okay. I don't know whether or not it would needed to have been in an amended fashion, but we did get one late email today that somebody asked us to be read.
Open forum.
Do you want to do it under open forum?
That's what
Oh,
said,
oh,
it's
okay.
'cause she wasn't gonna-
Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I thought that we would cover that under correspondence. So there is no correspondence. And I would move that we adopt and approve the prior board minutes.
Make that motion.
Eric has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Cabot Ray. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. So moved. That moves us to Mr. Cabot Ray and the treasurer's report.
Yes, July, of course, is one of the busiest months for so many of these committees. We now are up to 21 committees, by the way, because we've added road safety in there. And started the month with a balance of 153,888 and 78 cents. And it grew through the month, and we finished, we're talking about July, of course, at 162,724.47 is what was in there at the end of July. And of course, there have been events already in August that will continue to move that up. So with that, I make a motion that we receive this, we accept this committee report for July 2021.
So moved.
Second.
some discussion.
Okay,
I'd like that. When did we approve food or the road safety committee as an actual committee in here? I know I was under utilities committee, but
It's
I
a
don't remember.
subcommittee.
It's a
It is a
subcommittee.
subcommittee of
It's a
utilities.
subcommittee of utility services
That's what I
committee.
thought. Okay, so
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we were.
Yeah.
So we really still have 20 committees. Okay.
Except it has its own account.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But it's a subcommittee of utilities.
Right, it's not-
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Just for clarification. You made the motion, second, Eric, or you?
I seconded.
Yep.
So maybe with that clarification, I think we're good, but Eric is correct. It is a subcommittee.
It was my understanding also that because it's a subcommittee, it is not eligible. And
They would have to apply through utilities. I would
Yeah.
agree.
apply through utilities.
Utilities would have to represent them for amenities funds.
That's right.
okay, point well taken. So, Linda seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So moved. And that takes us to the Management Committee report, and I believe Jim, you're also subbing for Jeff?
That is correct.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Jim.
All right, thanks, Mr. Cross. Management Committee notes for this board. The Management Committee has approved the purchase of an RFID gate system through Signature Controls. We are working on answering several implementation questions so we can communicate this to the membership prior to moving forward. Some of the sample questions to be answered. Figured that out yet. Do we buy back the existing controllers or trade them for RFID gate tags? Do we charge for the RFID tags and how much? What are the procedures to get RFID tags? Are the old gate controllers gone all at once? And how do we distribute the RFID tags to the members? We will come back to the board in September for a board approval vote once we have a full proposal completed. A packet will be distributed to the board prior to the September board meeting. The Management Committee will be working on its 2022 and beyond capital and equipment depreciation budgets over the next several months with a target to present to the board in December. Some of the capital items on the budget will include lakes enhancement, including dredging and silt traps, golf course improvements, and possibly package solutions. The Lakes Enhancement Project has been working diligently to put together a draft plan of maintenance and improvement. We will present that plan to the board in October to use as a guide in our 2022 budget planning. Road Safety Initiative. Working with concerned members, the club has taken steps to put lines in the roads in some of our tight corners and try and cut some of the brush back in common areas. We have purchased several large mirrors to be placed in problem corners. We are asking members to consider cutting back any foliage that can be trimmed to allow members to better see around the corners. I'll add that was mirrors were purchased with donated funds. At the beginning of 2021, the board approved for the club to purchase a new fairway mower. We got our best pricing through our Avenger purchasing program by several $1,000s. We placed that order in February and hope to receive that unit in early December. So welcome to the COVID world. Our 2022 equipment depreciation had $50,000 budgeted for another fairway mower for the golf course. Due to the lead time, we have gone to our Avenger rep and again got a great price quote on another fairway mower, which I've sent out to the board. The caveat was that in our first deal, they did not price the accessories correctly and sold it to us at a really cheap price. For this deal, they have raised the price of the base unit 6% to cover price increase, but agreed not to charge us again for the accessories again. But to get that pricing, we need to execute that agreement within 15 days of the quote dated 8/9. Jeff will contact John Deere and Toro dealers to get bid pricing, but the last time there were several $1,000s more on the same mower. So the management committee has approved to move forward with ordering this mower for a total cost of $43,719.46. So I'm asking for a motion to make the purchase.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion Cabot
Yes, yes.
Okay, seconded by Tim Wobble.
Could
Any
be
other
up to-
conversation?
It could be up to a 12-month lead time to get that mower right
Even
now,
at this point.
at this point.
Just, so we got one mower coming. We ordered it February. Ordering another one for the 2022 budget now,
Right.
so that we can get it. What's our lead time on? Expect that? to be?
9 to 12 months right now. What they're telling us.
Wow.
It won't happen till 20.
We won't get it till 2022, but if we wait to order it, probably won't get it till 2020.
So. Linda,
It's me.
I wonder if it's the laptop next to the microphone.
the newbie.
It may,
I can move.
So Jim, in other words, time is of the essence, right?
Yeah, they gave us 15 days at this quote under that pricing.
So I just want to comment that I'll say I'm in favor of this simply because, well ahead on year-to-date income in terms of our income. And you're showing now that you've got 51, almost 52,000 in flat on the depreciation fund. So we got the money there. But what I will say, I don't know how much you guys got a chance to look at the numbers today. A big reason we are ahead is a lot less than in payroll this year.
Good point.
Point well taken.
We have been consistently catching up on our funding. At one point, we were 260,000 behind. Now we're down to 120 plus. Saw the number. Getting that caught up.
Okay, so, are we ready for a vote? We had, it was seconded, right? Any further discussion?
The amount again, please.
47.
43,700.
And 46 cents.
I didn't get that. 6.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Thank you.
All right, we'll get it submitted. That's, any questions on my other management meeting? Probably the biggest question we're trying to tackle on the RFID gates will be, we have the old gate controllers, which will be obsolete. How do we switch those over to RFID gates, tags? It's a fair way to do that. Huge number to flip around.
Are you saying that we would trade them straight up, or there'd be an additional expense, right? To get one of those tags for the windshield?
Well, people pay, I think it's $50 to get a gate
For the remote,
controller.
yeah.
If you return it, I think you get 25 back.
Okay.
Our argument is you're trading that gate controller back for an RFID tag. Is that fair to the member?
So-
The tags are about $6 a piece. We were gonna probably charge $6 to $8.
So there, because there's different kinds of RFID tags. There's ones that essentially look like what would be a smaller remote control. Then there's the decal type with the embedded chip in it. Is that the kind you're advocating?
Yeah, so it'll be a windshield tag that, in your windshield that it'll read that RFID. So you just come in, it'll read, just come on through. They're about $6 a piece. You know,
And again, you'll get one or two. You can get as many as you want or need, or is it, there's a limit to those tags per member?
it depends how many vehicles you have registered.
Right.
You know, I've got 4 vehicles registered, 5, so I'm one for my motorcycle. I'll have 6.
You might buy a dozen.
That's 5 dozen, make it. You'll have to have them on your vehicle form. Probably bring the vehicle down so we can see you're putting it on there, not to your friend. Put it on there and either exchange it for a controller. That's what we're trying to work out. What's the fairest way? And we can still get this project done.
Will be an option for UTV to give. We don't register those.
I don't see why not. And we haven't thought about that, but
We have a timeline on this, Jim? Any
I was
idea?
just gonna ask that.
We would like to get approval in September so we can execute. We don't have a timeline how long, we're working with Signature to get a timeline, how long it's gonna take to convert. Basically, you're converting the 3 back gates plus the member gate at security. But when you drive up to security, the security guard's busy with packages, you'll be able to just come on in, save that gate being down. Timeline, we don't entirely know how long it's gonna take each gate, because that will determine, if we do the Bremen gate first, you gotta have people who have clickers and
And both, yeah.
RFIDs, so we're trying to get Signature, we'll get them nailed down a timeline. It's a week project, computers need to be upgraded,
Sounds like great progress.
it'll be
Any
great
other-
once we get it done.
Any other questions for Jim as it relates to the management committee report? Okay, general manager's report on behalf of Jeff.
All right, Jeff will be on vacation for 2 weeks, so tonight. Delinquency totals, delinquency as of 7/15/2021 was 28,350. Delinquency as of 8/16/2021 was $24,068. Road delinquency as of 7/15 was 10,776. Road delinquency as of 8/16/2021 was $4,020. Lodge and Clubhouse updates, financial statements were sent out today. Everyone should have got those. If you notice, the Clubhouse did a very good month. July is always a strong month for us, a lot of activity at the golf course, so I appreciate the support. Our lodge, for the month of July also did very well. Came in at a net cost to the club of about $2,000, which is really great for historical. So I appreciate everyone supporting the lodge. It's not perfect, but we're working really hard to try to get it the best that we can to serve the membership. Overall staffing updates, security is still down 1 part-time position. 2 other security guards are currently in training. The lodge is currently at minimal staffing levels. One of our servers is going back to school, so we're trying to make accommodations. We have buffet type service a couple nights a week. More of a limited menu to try to minimize the effects on our current staff. Jeff is on vacation. He'll return 8:30. Penny then goes on vacation, return from 8:30, returning 9/7. Questions on update?
Thank you, Jim. We'll go now into the committee and business, the committee business and reports. And help me out, is this where we go to each committee chair? Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, each board rep.
Yep.
Each board.
Apologize for the bumpiness, but
You'll get there.
yeah, I'll get there.
We've only been
Won't take
3
long.
hours.
That being said, why don't we just go around the room? Cabot?
Nothing from the garden committee at this particular time, and as far as chapel goes, it's been a good year. They have gotten approval for the mum sale, which is going to happen September 3rd and 4th down front at the shelter house. So that's their big activity to kind of wrap up the season. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Cabot? Eric?
All I got, this time around, new member committee has their new member reception, this coming Saturday, I believe, 10 a.m. here. So if you're new next year, just consider coming. I think invites and everything's gone, including all the board people and so forth. So, make it, please.
I think it's 11 to 1.
You, okay. 11 to 1.
Good deal. Doug, I assume you don't have any yet. That being said, we have to be, I think, within the not too distant future, we'll have to divvy up the committees. I know there's some lobbying that goes on from the committees, you know, for for various chairs, and hopefully we can get that wrapped up maybe next meeting. Linda, you don't have anything? Linda?
Nothing?
Holy cow, I'm on a roll here. Tim?
Thanks, Mr. President. First of all, the ORV track work that was to be done today, and tomorrow, 17th and 18th, postponed that to next week, 23rd. So there's a bulldozer parked down at the ORV shelter. Back into action next week. That's all I have for ORV. On the golf side, the member guest was a huge success. We have our Calcutta dinner and auction is September 10th here at the lodge, and you must make reservations. Dinner. Tournament itself will be Sunday, September 12th. That's it.
Any questions for Tim? Any?
September 12th is my birthday, by the way.
Oh, duly noted.
Let's,
All right, I just have a few, full enforcement requests. So for lakes, we need to, I'd like to make a motion to pay Mark Powers gravel, $829.47 from the Lakes Committee funds for 25 tons of pea gravel for the kayak launch location. Put 10 ton at Eagle Claw, 10 ton at the beach, 5 at the north.
So we have a motion to pay the contractor for the gravel.
Correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eric.
No, that's me.
Folks, I apologize.
That's all right.
My new hearing,
That's
my
right,
new
yes,
hearing
yeah,
aids come in
yeah,
before the next meeting.
yeah.
Then that's, I'm not joking when I say that. Seconded by Doug Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I'd also like to make a motion to reimburse Sioux Pile $78.23 from the Lakes Committee funds for the 4th of July boat parade trophy. $78.20.
Second.
So we have a motion by Andy to pay Sioux Pile $78.23, seconded by Eric Lapp. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
And lastly, first I'll apologize to Cabot and Tim for the mix-up on the pool committee thing. We did approve the overage for the grill and the placard, but the sub-fund, the memorial fund, is where we're supposed to pay Robbie back for the remaining amount on the grill. So I'd like to make a motion that we pay Robbie Snow $200 from the pool memorial fund for the sub-fund of the pool committee.
Okay, we've got a
I'll
motion.
second that.
And that was
Me.
Cabot that
Yeah.
seconded it.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. $250 of the pool memorial fund to Robbie Stone.
Yes, that's why I was trying to explain. The e-vote was actually to approve the overage.
Which is about $143, as I
Right.
recall.
So what I neglected to do was to pay the actual 50 that should.
So, okay, we can talk afterwards.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Mary Beth?
Thank you, Chaz. Okay, so for the barn committee, they are having back-to-school barnyard haircuts, August 22. It's already been approved by the board. 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. for ages 6 to 17 with suggested donation of $15. Appointments are necessary. So that's that part. I'd like to make a motion for up to $500 for fencing repairs for the barn committee. Can I have a second?
Okay, so we have the motion for up to $500 for fence repair for the barn committee, seconded by Annie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Also, with regards to the barn, they would like to have Boo at the Barn, 5 to 7 p.m. on October 30th, and they are requesting up to $500 from committee funds to cover their expenses. And Also, $100 approved to replace a wagon and wheelbarrow tires. Can I have a motion for all of that, please?
I'll second it. I assume you're making it.
Yes. Oh,
I'll
sorry.
second.
Thank you, Eric.
Motion made by Mary Beth to, for Boo at the Barn on October 30th, up to $500 in expense money and wheel repair, seconded by Eric Lapp. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
The ACC is here, but we'll be dealing those issues in executive session and nothing for communication. Ginger.
Okay. Anything else?
Just a reminder, going forward, board reps are to send email to.
Oh, thanks, Tim, for that.
Tim, you did such a great
Good
job
point.
with
He's a
that.
nice guy. Also, there is a fly-in at the airport on September 11th. Usually Jim Lloyd covers that, but I know that's coming up, so I just wanted to throw out a reminder about that. And I think at noon, they're having a 9/11 service, a brief one, and they were looking for volunteers.
Do you happen to know the hours for that event? I know.
I looked on my calendar and it says 9 to 3, but that could be inaccurate. I just thought of it as I was sitting here that Jim's not here to say that.
Okay. Anything else? That will conclude the committee business and reports and fund requests. Any other fund requests? That moves us to open forum. Oh, okay. Yep. Linda?
See,
Do we have anybody who,
Need a mic up there at that point.
We received a letter from Dawn and Michael Glazer, lot 819, that says, we're unable to attend the open forum this week, but would like to have a discussion about the North Park. The new officers' emails have not been updated so far. Can you please forward the following to the board for discussion? My husband fishes at the North Park about every day. I fish with him periodically. However, when he goes down to fish around 7 a.m., the North Park is locked. He had to call on several occasions to ask to unlock the gate. We've had to call at 9 a.m. on occasion. What's the reason for this area to be locked? Is it necessary to have it locked? Lake Eagle Claw has canoes and kayaks, and that area is not locked, so I wouldn't think that would be a reason to lock the North Park. We've been down there in the evening a couple of times, and they are ready to lock up between 8 and 8:30 p.m. If it is necessary to have this area locked, can a specific time be set to have the guards unlock the gate? And again, that's Dawn and Michael Glazer, lot 819.
she had another sentence to add.
Yeah, it was a follow-up.
I
Yeah,
don't-
and the follow-up was that we have no gate provisions or lock at the beach either.
Okay.
So I think, Mr. Sigafus, would you champion the response for that?
So our policy in North Park has always been to close it at dark and reopen it at dusk. And that's simply to keep ATVs as a sensitive area as far as the grass in there. We don't want to disturb that too much because obviously it's an erosion area. And to keep ATVs, golf carts and stuff going in, kids going in there and ripping up. So we've always closed it 9-ish. Security is supposed to reopen it first thing in the morning. I've talked to Jeff before. Sometimes they get distracted, they miss it, and they don't get it till 9 o'clock. I'll remind Randall that they need to open it first thing in the morning. They change shifts would be a preference. Just go out and get it unlocked. But that's been since I've been here 10 years. That it's always been closed from dark till dusk.
We did, I remember quite some time ago when we formed the ORB committee, we had problems with some damage that was done down there. And that's when I think we moved to putting the gate up and making sure that it's locked down. It took care of the problem immediately, and we haven't had a problem since. So I think it's just a matter of timing.
I'll talk to Randall tomorrow to make sure that after they switch shifts at 6 AM, that they send somebody down there and get that unlocked. It's supposed to be unlocked first thing daylight.
Yeah, and it might be a seasonal thing too. I
Yeah,
mean, for
in the
instance,
winter, they're less, they don't get down there as quick, but we can work with security, make sure it gets open in the morning. But we do lock it at night just to protect that area, so we don't have it's dark down there, we don't want to have vandalism to the area, the canoes, the kayaks down there. It's just that simple.
Yeah, seconding what Jim said, we dealt with that quite some years ago, but the bottom line is it used to be in not so nice a condition as it is today. And I know there might be differing opinions on that, but trust me, it was pretty bad. It's kind of like I can remember what the golf course once looked like. It's light years from that. But the important thing to note with that in terms of its location, why it's locked and the beach is not, and that was in the follow-up letter too. Beach and the boat docks were cited. And the difference is, well, first of all, the boat docks are lit up. So that's a big difference from before. But the other thing is there's just not as much traffic and activity there after dark. So that was really the reason for it, especially because we had devoted a significant amount of effort and time to redoing that area, bringing it back to, someplace that was a little bit more inviting. So that was the history behind it and how it got that way. And so it began to be locked up on a regular basis. But just concerned for the, time of day and the lack of traffic, literally. See.
Yeah.
There.
If I recall, there were even a couple instances where we had to have vehicles towed out of there
Yes.
that
Yeah.
got stuck.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to understand why it's necessary to put it under lock and key. Good deal. Anything else on that subject? We have one person that has asked to address the board, and that is Margaret Euler.
Hi, I just wanted to thank everyone. First of all, what a great community we live in and the opportunity to run for the board. It was really, really nice to have the open conversations, to be able to talk to people. I've been here almost 30 years and I met a lot of new people just out campaigning. So that was really nice. So I just wanted to thank the board and really all Hideaway Hills, appreciate their support. The other thing I wanted to say, Ladies' Night was at the Scarcellas. I think they're lot 1311. Beautiful night. Lots of apologies, lots of appreciation for everyone. It was awesome. So really a shout out to them. She had, I think, like 80 people show up. So that's pretty phenomenal. Beautiful home. It was really, really nice to see everyone. And as you said, Chaz, we're healing. And I think everyone is doing a great job at participating in that. The other thing was the speed limit. I know it's 19. I don't remember the reason of why it's 19, but as most of you know, I walk my dogs a lot and they are off leash and they are very much under control and they will come to me whenever, but the speed limit of 19, anyone should be able to stop at the drop of a dime. And we're seeing speeders again. We just need to remind people to go 19. I've seen people on the left side over those yellow lines. It's great that we're doing that, but we just need to remind people to go 19. And I've driven this like many times at 19. And you can stop for a child, a deer, a dog, a cat, whatever it is. So just please remember to drive 19. The other was about the gate. So I know going up that big hill at Bora Hill, how close are we going to be able to hit something and not be able to scan to be able to get that up that in the winter?
We don't own very past. We don't own very far. We don't own very far past that that
So,
actual gate to put anything up that hill.
so as we're going up though, you gotta get a good, oomph to get up that hill. So how are
To
we
go
gonna be able
out?
to go
And you're
out?
talking, Margaret, you're
But
talking about
Fort Hill.
winter.
Yeah, Fort
It's
Hill.
always been a
That's gonna be
problem.
a huge problem I leave at 5:30 in the morning to be able to get up that. How close are we gonna be able to go? And even coming down, if that's ice, you cannot stop. I mean, I know several people have been in the ditch and that's a huge concern of mine, being able to
Yeah,
to get out.
going out, I think we could put it back a little ways. I don't know offhand, but coming in, we don't own very far past that gate, so we really can't. We've looked at try to put a signal at the top, but we don't own up there, and we don't.
Is it gonna be the same type of gate or is that actually gonna change? Cause
We've talked about changing that from a slide gate to like some type of breakaway gate, so that you would slide down and hit it, still be able to close it. We're still kind of working on.
Is it worth the effort to maybe find the landfill just past that gate and see if they would, you know?
Well,
No, I don't.
that didn't take long, did it?
I don't.
yeah.
I know
Certainly
we-
something to take into
We've
consideration.
tried to come up with solutions there, and we're still trying to work on that.
I mean, it just
I
would be
know
a
it's a
huge-
concern every year. Angie's brought that forward, that you coming down there, gates shut, you can't really get it under control.
Yeah, it's ice. There's no stopping. And if you are right on top of it, it's gonna plow over that.
Talked about changing that out to like just a more of a flexible gate that you hit it wouldn't break, but.
In our car, how much damage would be to
Well,
that?
and
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't want to leave the gate open for people just to come in and go. But we don't really have a good solution yet. We're trying to work through that.
Jim, what if we brought the gate further in the hideaway? Kind of go up the hill a little bit before that gate gets there. Would that beneficial?
maybe worth trying to figure out how far the signal does have to go, right?
Yeah.
In order to accomplish that.
Just a thought.
It's a thought. We've talked about that too. If we have room to back it up, we'd have to back up the post office box too.
Gonna be looking fencing and potentially fencing down lower.
Maybe pull it back a little ways.
I'll show what the-
It's an option.
Yeah.
Certainly something that needs to be put on the radar. And in reference to the 19-mile-an-hour speed limit,
Yeah.
if I recall, okay, a lot of time has lapsed since this was done. The gentleman that put it in play because nobody will pay attention to 20, but they'll sure as heck ask you why it's 19. And I've had plenty of guests that have come through that make reference to it. And the hope is that somebody at least pays attention to it.
It's
But I share your concern as far as the speed is concerned, and it's not limited to one area either. And, it's a tough thing to keep track of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
today I was out walking the dog around that corner there, where the Douglases are, and a car just came over and they were completely on the left side of
Yeah.
the road. And they were definitely not going 19. And I'm thinking, my dogs are here. I'm like, if there would have been a kid, I mean, she would have taken us all out.
Yeah.
And so it's just a nice reminder. No matter what we do, it's just following that speed limit. It's in place for a reason.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
So back to the RFID, we just sold those club-owned lots to a member on
Great.
as you're going out, they're on the right side of the road. We looked at putting something here or whatever further up the hill on a.
So if you would,
Look at lot 1920, how far up the hill? Talk to that member.
Any R gate that I have been associated with, basically have to pull right to that gate and stop before it'll open. It's not gonna open.
If you had just going by it.
Pardon?
Yeah, if you're just sliding by it,
Right.
probably not.
Well, what I'm getting at is you can't, it's not like you can have the remote control and turn it on, 50 yards ahead of you. Unless they changed the signal.
Well, there was a
tower.
time when the antenna was higher, I think, wasn't it? And it could open from a little. I think they
But
installed.
what
a
I'm getting
smaller-
at is this new system, I don't think works that way. Because you've got that.
And I don't know which one which one we're looking at and what the specs are for it. But you can get them to, I mean, we've got trucks every day that bypass way stations and scales and things of that nature. So I mean, it is doable.
Yeah, your easy.
As to whether or
pass,
not it applies
yeah,
here.
You just fly through it and it reads it.
You're understanding what I'm saying, though.
The RFID gate reader, you gotta be up on it before it
Right,
reads it.
Right on top of it.
Yeah, but like an easy pass is nothing more than RFID reader.
Yeah,
You fly through those at 60 miles, still reads it.
I know,
Yeah.
there's no gate opening up.
No, there's no gate.
No.
opening if you trip.
no, but it can be read is my point.
Yeah, it can be read, but I think what Margaret was trying to say is, how far ahead will that gate open
if
with the
you're
new
sliding.
system,
Yeah.
with the magnetic imaging or whatever it is on your windshield? And my answer to that is, you gotta be right on top of it.
Right, I think you're correct. You gotta
Yeah.
be right on top of it. It's gonna read it, it's gonna open.
So I think the takeaway is we need to explore whether or not we can, Eric, your idea of seeing if we can move the gates, great, that's probably something we didn't take into consideration, right? I mean, so I think it's a work in progress. Tim, good point. You know, I don't think you're near completion on this to begin with, right? You still
No.
got a couple things to iron out. If you
We
could
still
throw
got
that
some
on the,
implementation
Yep.
issues to iron out, and obviously the board has anyway, so.
Yep.
That gives, I'll put it on the list, of stuff to talk about with the management committee, see if it's feasible to move that back. 40 yards would make a huge difference trying to come down and stop.
yeah.
We
and
still
the-
have
the-
to be on the other side of the road, Taos. That's Taos dumps off there.
This has been an age-old problem, with the 4L road gate. So, okay,
All right.
anything else? Tim, you good? Good.
I do have one more question. So we did not actually approve this expense last month, Jim?
No, it'll come to this board in September.
So you were still, but you're pretty well set with what it's gonna cost and the contractor you're gonna use, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. We just need to get the implementation issues worked out before. So you guys are gonna have questions.
Person that was supposed to coordinating that for the answers. So I talked to him and he's asked me to transfer it to someone else. So I've done that. And hopefully we'll see some movement on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That moves us to unfinished business, which we don't have anything on the agenda for tonight. And I would, move on to reaffirming the e-votes, which I believe Mary Beth has.
These were all unanimous. Approved spending up to $1,500 for mirrors and supplies from the Road Safety Subcommittee Fund. Approved Social Committee to purchase $135 Lodge gift card for members of Pop Gun and pay Tony McClung Pop Gun $2,000 for balance owed for the 9/4/21 concert. Approved paying Hideaway Hills teenagers $300 for sound setup and takedown for remainder of chapel season. Funds from the chapel committee. Approve reimbursement of $573.61 to Cheryl Bendokis for new member gifts purchased for August 24 reception. Funds from new member committee. Reimburse Bethany Hartman from AFY committee funds, $90 for neutering cats. Pay Eagle Golf Cart $640 for golf cart rental for member guests from golf committee funds. Approve the Hideaway Hills accounting firm to count ballots for the August 15 2021 election in lieu of volunteers. Approximate cost $500 for 2 accountants for 3 hours. Reimburse Eric Boysko $564.16 from Golf Committee funds for member guest sponsor banner. Reimburse Nancy McCoy $249.95 for a bench purchase for chapel from chapel committee funds. Approve chapel committee to purchase mums for up to $2,200 for the mum sale on September 3rd and 4th. And I just need to get clarification on the one additional one. So this one. Did we? Approve paying Robbie Snoke $41.30 from pool committee funds for grill purchase. This is in addition to previously approved monies of $250. Reimburse Robbie Snoke $71.25 from pool committee funds for the memorial plaque. That's it.
So do I have a motion to approve the e-votes?
I motion to approve the e-votes, or no, Mary Beth would
I do
that,
have
right?
a correction first. Accounting firm, vote was not a yes vote.
Thank you, Tim. Correct.
Okay. That being said, do I have a motion to approve the e-votes?
I move to approve the e-votes.
Linda moves. Do I have a second? Seconded by Cabot Ray. All in favor, say aye.
Before we do
Whoop.
that, we should probably read what that vote was and what the vote counts were.
Okay.
So the vote count on that particular one was 5-2, and it passed.
Any questions? Now we can move to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Now we move on to the new business topics. And we've got 3 items tonight. One of the things that I've heard from multiple people throughout the election process was that there seems to be consensus, excuse me, that we need to look into appointing a communication to creating a point person for communication. I think that's a great idea, and I think that we've got a more than good person that might be able to take that on. And so I'd like to throw it out that we have an open discussion about how we do that.
Yeah,
Linda?
I actually, I'm new to this, so when I'm learning something, I tend to look inside at what happens, and then I look outside in the universe at what everybody else is doing. And when I was looking at associations, large and small, number one challenge they all face by far is communication. How often, through what channels, different people prefer, sometimes generations prefer paper reading versus, I know some young kids would say, just give me a text. So I started looking around at how some associations and clubs are handling that. And some are appointing an actual officer to the board to handle communications. That's less common than appointing a board member who is a point person, who really monitors the club communications, kind of organizes consistent messaging, and continues to look at usage of channels currently. And we don't have great usage right now. I looked at our Facebook. Our Facebook has 590 members, which is like 34% of the membership, Club Facebook. Yeah, the videos that we produced, the new member video got 259 views. So that's like 15%. The governance got 364. So I think there's some things that we can probably do to look at how well our channels are being utilized and if we need to do anything differently. So I also looked at some role descriptions for a communication point person, looked at some things that we might be able, that might fit us or what a role like this could do. So I'll actually read this. That's a copy guys. These are pretty consistent things that I think relate to HAH.
There's a couple more coming
Yeah.
your way.
I didn't divide correctly. So in most cases, they serve as a member of the board, attend all board meetings, coordinate with the president and vice president to ensure adequate, effective, and appropriate communications are achieved through all outlets, assist in preparing talking points, e-blast presentations, and other supporting material, assist in identifying and prioritizing member communication opportunities. We might miss some opportunities. Monitor club media channels, Facebook, YouTube, website, Echo to ensure messaging is appropriate and effective. Curate appropriate content and increase member engagement on website, Facebook, YouTube. Coordinate with committees to ensure events are appropriately and adequately publicized through those channels. I thought these were interesting. Photograph or arrange for photos to be taken of major activities and events, and then kind of serve as a de facto historian. One thing I learned when we did the new member video, which you'll see in a couple of weeks, we didn't preserve much history of the hills. That closet, I think right over there, has a couple of
The boxes.
old-fashioned photo albums with photos stuck so you can't pull them off, and deteriorating newspaper columns.
Yep.
And so Ginger and I sorted through all of that and tried to find some stuff we could use for the video, which seems like a shame that we don't preserve more of that. We can't go back and capture the past, but we can start from this point forward. So that's my idea.
You know, and all this sounds great. I mean, it's certainly not a direction that we've gone in the past, and obviously it shows. We've got a couple boxes of photos. We got our time capsule upstairs too, let us not forget. But I got the general sense in talking to, and I think Margaret had a great point. The meetings to meet the candidates were really eye-opening. When I spoke to people, I got the sense that this was more of a, hey, I send an email in wanting to know or get an answer on something, and I don't get anything back type stuff. Or I called the office and I left a message or something to that effect. And I think that we're headed in a positive direction with our general manager, Jeff, who I think is much better than we've been in the past at doing that kind of stuff. But it needs to encompass that demographic as well. So,
That was actually another suggestion that I had.
well, your time is up, Linda.
I seem to be, yeah, boom, shut up now. The other suggestion was that we have a dedicated email site that members, if they have a question for the board, they have an issue for the board, there's one dedicated email site they send that to that gets monitored by this communication person, at least to let people know we got it. Because I know sometimes you send an email, you don't even know. Sometimes they do disappear in cyberspace. And I think that would be more effective and efficient than now. Sometimes they send an email to maybe Mary Beth
Yep.
and Linda, and not
So you want to centralize
a
it? Yep,
centralized
absolutely.
for that kind of thing. And that would be
Yep.
monitored by, I think, the communication point person as well.
Good point. I would tell you that the entire reason I got involved in the board the last time that I ran was because I had sent messages to our general manager that went completely unanswered. So it does go on, whether it's intentional or not. I think it's very segmented right now. So, so that being said, do we have any other further conversation as far as that's concerned?
Yes.
I was just getting to that. So,
I'd like to point out that it will make your job a lot easier.
well, I'm all about that, Linda. Thank you.
And it will allow someone to really take point on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that you can effectively do what you need to do and also be the communication person. You just really, it's overwhelming. You can't do it.
I
right.
would tell you that in the last 48 hours, the number of emails that I've had from every direction is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and that's on one side of the fence, where, I mean, we're talking about our general, response to the membership. So, I mean, that being said, would we want to nominate somebody for that?
Can I ask a couple
You
questions?
bet. Yep.
I love the idea first and foremost, but I think we probably need to hash out some details. One, I think we need to clarify what's that person's role as it relates to the communications committee. And then I think I'll step in and play like I'm Jeff, but I gotta imagine Jeff and Penny are gonna have questions about what are they responsible for this person.
Right.
So is it worth trying to flush out those details before we?
Well, I
vote
mean,
on
we don't
that?
have to rush into it either. So,
I do think that we need to clarify what this role would be versus, what the office's role would
Right.
be, and clarify really how they'll intersect.
Yeah.
And I think it will help a lot. I
I
really
agree.
do.
It does need to do, because some things really probably shouldn't come to the board. They ought to go to the GM.
Right.
And I don't know that I as a member don't necessarily understand what should go to the board and what should go to. So a lot of those things ought to be really sorted out and then communicated so folks know.
well, and likewise, I mean, not everything that has to go back to an individual member has to go out to the entire membership either.
Right.
So, I mean, there probably is a need to step back here a little bit and,
But Linda, you've done such a nice job already with the organization of this. I
Yeah.
would certainly encourage Linda, and I think we'd all agree, maybe she's the one to flush out the details with the general manager and so forth, and Penny, and ask the right questions, and, then we move on from there
Yep, I agree.
officially.
That's actually what I'm saying, is just like come back with a proposal flushed out with them, or it could even go whatever.
so we're gonna ask Linda to champion it, but we'll table it as far as an official
Yeah.
vote's
Yeah,
concerned.
that makes sense. And then
Eric,
we'll have
do
to
you-
have a,
Did you have something to
Yeah,
add?
just, I think we need to make it easier for membership to communicate this, to have a general email that instead of everybody is individual email where you got, just have us one, I don't know what, up with an email, probably with Kane, that gets sent to every single one of us, maybe management, so that we're all involved in, and then having a person respond at least. Certainly if as a board member, if something comes up and I want to respond to them, I could do that, but we need to go and let seeing what's going on. Distribution piece, I think is the way to go.
I noticed today that a couple of people changed over. I think a suggestion, Eric, right? And
I brought that up in the meeting.
formed a
earlier.
new email
Yep.
Today.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of fleshing out. It was just an
Yeah.
idea. We need to also let membership know it's, I not answering what hours are the pool open, 10 hours a day. So what kind of things ought to go to this versus just ask a question? Yeah.
I think the key is that somebody responds. So if it's a pool question, and maybe we have Penny on that, our general manager, so that when you see something like that come across, that's your area. So,
Okay, so again, I think we've converged on the fact that we want to move forward with this. I think there's a little bit of work to be done yet. But I certainly love the idea. It's not a direction we've gone before, so more to follow. We also would like to try to finalize the discussion on our notice to members for ballot issues. Mary Beth, I think you were going to speak to that.
Yeah, so when I went back and read this code, it actually says the secretary of the club, not the secretary of the board, is responsible for sending that out. So I'm wondering if perhaps we just suggest to Penny, when they send their annual or their monthly statements, if we just have her include it in there, if there's ballot issues or a meeting coming up that they need to get notice. But it sort of falls on her instead of the board under the code. So I just sort of wanted to hear what everybody thought about that.
Just ask one question, because I think more and more people, not me, but more and more people are probably taking advantage of getting those notices, billing and otherwise, in their so will it still be able to accommodate the load if the people are getting it electronically rather than on paper?
So if we want, we could, just to clear up any kind of concern, we could have those folks sign a waiver that they're willing to accept all notices via email versus paper, or we could just ask Penny, just mail it all that one time to make sure they
I
get
see what you're
notice.
saying.
And that way, there's no question at all anywhere by anybody, and everyone gets the mailing. So I guess we need to decide, do we feel like members should have the option of saying, I don't want to open mail and get hard copies because it keeps getting lost at the post office or wherever. I'd rather get it to my email, have them sign a waiver, essentially, or is there another idea that people have?
I would add, though, that this didn't seem to be an issue when it was mailed. Right? I mean, we never had,
Oh, no.
Well,
we never had any complaints that, anyone wasn't being
I
notified,
don't
right?
recall any, no.
I don't either.
So Penny said there was about the same number of people that didn't want mailings, and so they didn't receive it, but they also didn't complain. So,
So along those lines, it seems to me that we probably ought to look at changing our code membership to vote so that we can fix that issue. So it seemed to be a foggy issue whether or not mail or email or so forth was appropriate. If we change our code to include email,
Also an idea, and I was in the office, and Penny showed me an envelope that it was in bold color on this envelope, important trustee information, and once a year, send that to every single member, and it's an envelope that's gonna catch your eye. You don't have to do, I mean, one time, I think we can afford that, to every single member, because, and so that hopefully they'll see it, and it will catch their eye, and they'll open it and been informed. Not just a standard Hideaway Hills envelope, but something that is significantly visual that catches the eye.
Well, I think we're looking at two catch-all scenarios here, okay? Eric, yours certainly just brings to the code, right? That it is acceptable in the form of an email. Gavin, in the snail mail world, right? I'm in favor of the all-inclusive, scenario if it were me.
I don't disagree. I mean, but as we progress,
Yep.
more things are going to be going electronic, and we always try to dip it in and see if that is something that.
So,
I don't know if we can think of anything else while we're thinking forward headed or forward thinking as to what else might come up.
I mean, that being said, then it wouldn't go on the ballot until next
Of course,
next
right.
August, so
And we
we'd
should
need to
cover our
put
bases
something in
now.
play, yeah,
Yes.
to cover our basis as far as it's concerned, and then what do you think?
So that we go off.
I'd like to go in that direction, I think.
Yeah.
The ballot next year. Have it said for the.
This one coming up.
This one coming up, sure, it needs to. Red lettering or whatever. There, if it passes. Longer.
Can I recommend that it go to institution committee to should add it?
Do we need is there any other comments? So I think Eric's making a motion
I can
to,
make a motion.
Curious, if we already heard from legal counsel that we're fine. So if we put it to vote and it doesn't pass, then what?
I think I understand what you're saying, and I think that would be problematic for the club. I believe that we should enhance to the degree that we can our communications. But I don't know that it requires a code change because we don't have to have a code change. We can make things better agreeably, but it doesn't mean that we have to have a code change. And I agree, if we had a code change and it was voted down, well, that would be a problem, I think, potentially.
Could this somehow, and I suspect most people in this room have not read the new member agreement application that most of us have already signed. But could that somehow be, and maybe it should be massaged a little bit, that document? New member agreement and more emphasis put on, talked about that off and on through, more emphasis put on making sure that people not only read it, but really had an opportunity to digest it, questions and all of that kind of stuff. And there could be a way, for example, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, it was just one of those off the top of the head things, but whether or not you could put in there something that basically says to folks, hey, we have all of these various types of communication, you can select what works best for you, but be aware that it's incumbent upon you to make that decision. Let the club know how you want to be. You see what I'm at?
Yeah, I
We're
do.
like your doctor's office.
But you don't have to vote on that. What I'm saying. You don't have to vote on it. I mean, we can let people know what we're talking about as far as inclusion in that new document. But the bottom line is that allows us to deal with it up front. And quite honestly, I know I read it recently, but I remember it off. But it's kind of antiquated.
I like where
It's
you're
one of
going
those
with
things that needs to be done.
One of the things we discussed with legal counsel, I think it was, because of the precedent of restrictions of
Right.
and of code, and the discussion we had was about exploring, clarifying it in.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, in the event that we do that, it seems to me that we're doing it. How many options are you advocating that we give?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can just talk about the digital and otherwise, or not going to try to draft the language, right? Probably come up with something. Bottom line is, you just make people aware of the fact that we are on a mission to improve communications, and that's implicit in what you're going to write, revised clause or whatever it has to be. And I'm not even guaranteeing you that it ought to be in there. I was just thinking that's a place where it could be done. And it also
Yeah.
could be addressed in the rules too. Absolutely right. Attorney talking about that too. But it's a conveyance of what we're trying to do, especially to the new members who by and large these days, quite honestly, come in here with very, very little knowledge. They do. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons for that. But the fact is, it's a reality. Talk to a few members time when you're out trying to be a candidate, you learn it real fast. And I thought that was true. I'm absolutely convinced it's true.
So then that wouldn't lend itself to a new member being able to grasp this along with everything else. I mean, let's face it, you're a new member, you're drinking from the fire hose, right? I mean, in Eric's scenario, I mean, it's a catch-all for everything, right?
That's what I guess I'm trying to get at is we have an opinion from our attorney that we're fine. It doesn't mean that we can't get sued, and maybe that opinion's wrong. I'm saying let's put it to our membership and clarify what it is, all the different ways that we can note and information. So we're covered. So the next time that maybe we do forget to go and send something out the way we're supposed to. I mean, snail mail, I don't know much longer. Our code says mail. I think we should just update our code, give it to our membership to prove whether we update it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, this is where I'm at a distinct disadvantage because I wasn't in on these previous conversations with this. I mean, it kind of sounded like we had vetted it and we were ready to, yeah, converge on a scenario.
We're not in a hurry to do
Yeah.
anything here. I get it. I just,
No, I get it.
just something I want to think about.
One thing I observed Sunday, working registration, we had several people, I'm not exaggerating, that they didn't know when the voting started, when the voting ended. I mean, that was out several times over a several week period. We had people had no idea that you could, there's a form you can get from the office that does automatic payment for your monthly assessment. People have all this ability to receive communication. You know, the old saying is you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I really saw that, and it surprised me Sunday. I don't know I mean.
So in Tim's scenario, it doesn't matter what we do, they're not. But I mean, Tim, you make a good point. I mean, I'm all about making sure that we get the word out to everybody, okay, regardless of what vehicle we use to do this with. But we're not going to be able to kill every scenario. So, I mean, I would ask that we look at converging on at least one that would be somewhat of a catch-all type of deal. I mean, Doug, you've got us, point well taken. Maybe there's an opportunity with the new member agreement. But I think in Tim's scenario, we got people that have been here for a long time that still aren't getting the message as to when the annual meeting is. Okay. So, I think we need to protect ourselves in the long term. We probably ought to table this for till next meeting, but I would ask that we do the necessary legwork to address this at the next meeting and see if we can't come to an agreement on what we think is best in order to do it. And that includes having run it by the club attorney so that we know where we stand. I think this is one that we didn't even realize we had a problem with until very close to the election here recently. And we had another member call to our attention. So we need to put it to bed. I mean, it's just that simple. So,
Quick question for my knowledge. The big issue is that one annual meeting, right? I mean, are there other during the year ways that people need to be informed and,
There's a ballot.
Okay.
My understanding.
so the
Because
annual
everyone knows there's an, but I think he is concerned about.
ballot issues? And Capit had a good idea. I know for stocks that I hold, they send me a giant packet that I can't miss once a year when it's time to vote. And I threw it away, but they do say that it does get my attention.
thank you for admitting that. Okay. We will table it and there's some work to be done there and hopefully we can converge on a scenario next month. We also had on the new business topics, the recap with the auditors, and I had asked Linda to speak to that briefly. I apologize. I mean, I don't think any of us really got that far enough in advance to the meeting.
It was handed to me Sunday.
Okay, yeah. Nobody's really had a chance to digest what's in it, and you're probably the one most familiar with it, right?
Yeah, I guess. It was sent to the board probably a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago, as a draft, and the draft wasn't changed because there weren't any comments from the board on the draft itself. So the final ends up being the same as the draft, but all of the board has seen the draft. So this was not a forensic audit. It was, I guess, what they would call, is there a specific term for that, Jim? A finance audit?
It's just a financial audit.
Yeah.
Of the statements.
So it wasn't a forensic audit. However, they did have some findings. None of them are of horrible, horrible note. But so under certificate of deposit, interest wasn't included on a Citizen Bank CD, and so that's something that we need to correct as a club. Accounts receivable did not net to zero in 2020. The auditor recommended that these accounts be reconciled so that they net to zero at year end. Under inventory, the auditors noted that there were no written policies or procedures for purchasing, receiving, using, transferring, or counting inventory at the restaurant and clubhouse, and control procedures are not being consistently followed. We recommend policies, this is what the auditor says, policies and procedures be written and followed so inventory is accurately and consistently reported. The auditor further states that it is the auditor's understanding that the general manager plans to implement written inventory policies and procedures prior to the start of the next audit. The transfer log for inventory moved between the restaurant and clubhouse is only maintained by the clubhouse. Recommend the person picking up and delivering the inventory initial the log to verify the amount ordered and transferred matches the amount picked up and delivered. Brewery inventory at the restaurant and the clubhouse were not reconciled at year end for the last 2 years. We recommend these accounts be reconciled at year end to accurately reflect the brewery expenses in the year that they are incurred. The organization relies on their outside accountant to reconcile accounts at month end. The outside accountant did not consistently reconcile these accounts for the past 2 years. It is our understanding a new outside accountant was hired during 2021, and management intends to oversee that these accounts are reconciled monthly going forward. Under the heading of restaurant inventory and / other and clubhouse inventory, transactions were posted to these accounts during 2019 and 2020, not reviewed or reconciled by the outside accountant or by management. Balances in these accounts are immaterial to the financial statements, but we recommend they be reviewed and reconciled in a timely manner to accurately report expenses in the year they are incurred. Adjusting journal entries. In reviewing opening balances for the 2019 audit, we noted certain year-end 2018 balances in QuickBooks did not agree to the 2018 audited financial statements. The differences were immaterial, but we recommend at the conclusion of an audit, QuickBooks be adjusted to match the audited financial statements. So that sums that up. Part of what the membership is probably curious.
Has joined the meeting.
Part of what the membership is probably curious about is the dam assessment fund. I personally brought that up with them. They told me that it was a communication lapse between management and the board, and that communication between the two, management sharing budgetary information, needed to be enhanced. And I think somewhere in there, the office also falls, but that was not a part of their actual audit statement. So in hopes of full transparency, that was a conversation.
Well, and it's in, you know, it's of significant note that these are recommendations, right?
Right.
As is with any audit that I've ever been involved in or had to be in charge of. These are all recommendations, and so I think we probably need to take the proper amount of time to digest what's in there, see what pertains to us, or prioritize those recommendations and see whether or not we want to move forward with them.
Just
Okay.
add that several of these are consistent with the last audit we got.
Yeah.
And in conversations with Jeff and Penny, some of the problems were like the reconciliation of entries that was supposed to occur with our outside accountant wasn't happening. So I'm really happy to hear that Jeff's talking about adding some procedures, but I think there's some follow-up action that also need to. Probably on our side, I mean, not, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Enforcing what we're asking the accountant to do.
Okay.
Well, and the good news is we have a new accountant, and that's positive. But yes, you're right, they are recommendations and nothing was considered serious. And in some of the recommendations, their language used the word immaterial. But nonetheless, it's ways that we could look at being better in terms of our internal controls.
That's why you do audits,
Closing
Yeah.
the loop.
right? Okay, thank you, Linda.
Yep.
That moves us to old business topics where we do not have anything on tonight's agenda. And I would ask Linda Hodge to read the list of our new members. Linda?
Yeah, we have a few. Michael and Mary Pierre, lots 581 and 582. Nicole and Mark Stewart, lots 2085, 2086, 2087, and 2088. Travis and Elaine Tipton, lot 48. Christopher, and I apologize if I get the name, Dement, I think. And Tony Maria Arnold, lots 2057 and 2058. John and Gina Hirschberger, lots 982 and 983. Shane Harler, lots 1590, 1591, and 1609. Carol Ann Rose and Don Lee Kane, lots 805 and 806.
I would add also that when I was board secretary, I don't know how many times I made the statement. I apologize. If,
For the names?
yeah. I apologize for the name.
I looked, they were mostly easy.
Thank you, Linda. There is no additional business on tonight's agenda. And I need a motion to adjourn.
I think
To
we have to-
executive.
Don't we have to vote to approve these new members?
We do.
Oh, that's right. I apologize.
Has left the meeting.
Okay, what do you say, gang? Why not?
Sure.
As long as it's not an hour long, we're good. I'd agree with that.
So just in case the people didn't hear, because Margaret didn't have a microphone.
Right.
She wanted to know what we're paying in attorney fees and also hoping we keep the meetings open in the future.
Okay, I would ask for help in fielding that question because I'm not privy to that information prior to tonight's meeting, and I would want to make sure that we give an accurate answer.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that's-
we'll have
yes.
to get that. It's in the financial statements. It's just not, I think it's in professional fees, so I have to get a breakdown of legal fees versus accounting fees. You want
Or
to just
in
know on
general.
the, you just want to know.
Oh, just for this? Well, I had one of the members say they added up attorney fees for the year and it was 20,000, but not for one particular issue. And it could, yeah. Well, anytime we have a complaint about another member or an ethics kind of accusation, or this was actually trying to set aside an entire election, and, was obviously a concern, actually 2 elections. And so, all of those kind of things, require attorney fees. And actually, I was going to say to management at some point for next year's budget, because if there continue being this kind of, hopefully we don't have this, but if we continue having ongoing legal needs, we probably really need to increase the budget for that, substantially if there's going to be lawsuits or there's going to be other things going on. So, yeah, that's not how any of us want to spend the money, trust me. But
Yeah,
we don't
and I
have,
would say also that, we were talking in terms of possibly, considering altering the code, which would require that, and so, you know,
Well, I don't think we were talking.
yeah, I think we were
I don't think
talking
we're
about
money.
just the
Yeah,
notification
right.
for the ballot issues
Right.
and the annual meeting, when we made reference to making sure we were buttoned up with the code in Eric's suggestion. So, we weren't talking, overall legal expenses for the club annually.
We'd have to get the office to pull the bills to find out the exact amount.
All right.
In executive session.
Yes, ma'am, well,
Yes.
yeah.
That's exactly, yeah.
I think we need to
still
move
need to
forward
approve
with the,
We need to approve our new members.
yes.
Understood.
I move that we approve the new members that I just read.
So,
I second.
do I have a second? Okay.
Many seconds.
Motion, and a second to approve the, new members for the
So
month.
moved.
All in
So
favor?
moved. Oh,
Aye.
okay. we
All-
Already moved.
Yep.
All against?
Yes,
Nay?
okay.
So moved. New members accepted. Thank you, Eric. We kind of got off on the track there. Let's see. Okay, so I need a motion to, adjourn, to go into executive session.
I'll make
I
that
make that.
motion.
I'll second.
Cabot made a motion, Annie seconded. We will now go into executive session. Thank you.
It's 8:30.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Nay? Thank you, Eric.
8:30.
Little bumpy tonight.
So you turned off. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to, return to the open meeting. In executive session, we, made some, we agreed on, and move forward, with language associated with, the dog bite incident that we currently had on the table, and also, agreed on some language associated with a harassment and a club employee and a, cleanup of a member's property. We also resolved a request for an easement with a member as well. We, had 2 offers on, previously unsold club lots that, we will issue counter offers on for both pieces of property. And we also, decided to send, some discrimination language that was sent to us, by John Jolly, to our Constitution Committee for some refining, and some tweaking of the language. That being said, I would, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second.
Okay, Motion made by Cabot Ray, seconded by Linda Hodge. All in favor? Aye.
Linda Law-
Aye.
Linda Law
All
seconded.
against? Nay? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.